Hi, everyone. Welcome this afternoon in this new webinar by PimVendors.com. I'm Stefan Spijkers. I am co-founder of PimVendors.com, and I'm the host for today's session. Welcome to this live stream where we are going to talk about DAM and generative AI. And I have a group of 3 interesting speakers that will talk about their vision on how generative AI is going to influence and revolutionize the DAM space. We'll go through each of them in turn, where they'll present a presentation or even a live demo of their tooling. And then afterwards, we'll bring everyone back for a roundtable discussion on the impact of DAM on generative AI on DAM, digital asset management. Today, we'll be streaming on YouTube. So if you have any questions that you want to have answered, if you want to have a conversation with me or with the speakers, if you want us to discuss anything during the roundtable part of the discussion, you can just interact with us freely. We can see your comments and we can answer your questions. Maybe don't expect that to happen during the presentation part or the demo part of this webinar. We will definitely have more interaction during the roundtable part. But if you have any feedback or you're just blown away by a certain feature, feel free to just share that in the chat on your right-hand side. And if you have any questions or issues, please drop that there as well. I'll try to take a look as your host. And finally, if you're joining late or if you have to leave early, don't worry, we will be recording this whole session and we will be sharing that recording with everyone afterwards. So if you need to drop out or have to open the door for a parcel delivery, as just happened with me, or you need to drop off for an urgent client call, no worries, we'll send you the full recording afterwards. Now, without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker and bring him to the presentation. To the floor. Timo Faber from DAM Pioneers. Hi, welcome.
Thanks.
You have a presentation for us and you have the floor basically. So
I do.
Good luck.
Thanks, Stephen. Let me share my screen. How is that? How does that work? All right. So the frontiers in DAM, the impact of generative AI. Or one could say, let's get real about artificial intelligence and its impact on DAM. So recently, and this is not the first time you hear this, since November 22, since the release of ChatGPT, there's been a lot of talk about AI on DAM vendors' websites. And so when DAM vendors talk about new AI features in their products, one has to ask, do these features really use artificial intelligence, or is it simple process automation with if-then-else tests? And are these features, AI or not, really adding value? I mean, this is, I think, what it's all about, right? This is what software vendors are supposed to do. They're gonna help and try and make users' lives easier. Or what I think is the term artificial intelligence misused as a SEO strategy to increase search result ranking. And my personal theory is that a lot of DAM vendors' marketing teams don't really understand the subject. And you see this because terms are being misused, new features are being described as AI features, and they're really not AI features. And I think this is confusing for both companies that own a DAM and feel like they're missing out on something, or companies that are currently on a shopping tour for DAMs. And my goal today here is to lift the fog a little bit and give you some context about what we currently see, what works and what doesn't work. My name is Timo Faber. I'm an independent DAM consultant and expert, and I help companies selecting DAM systems. I help with implementation in the implementation process, from solution architecture through to go live. If you want to hear or know anything else about me, please feel free to check out my website on dampioneers.com. And today, again, I'll try to I want to help you to find your way through the jungle of artificial intelligence and its impact on DAM. And I will start with explaining some basics around AI. I will help you categorize areas in AI that I think add value to DAM systems. We'll also look at some examples, and we'll also take a look at what I think the future is going to bring us. So first of all, I should point out that I'm not an AI expert, right? I'm an expert in the field of digital asset management. And when I started to look at the field of artificial intelligence, I noticed that, as I said, AI terms are often used incorrectly and misleading ways, leading to confusion and causing conflicts. And I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but I think it's super important to get familiar with some basic terminology. If you really are looking into making yourself familiar with AI, I think you really need to understand some of these terms, and you need to understand the relationship to it. Because there's a lot of misuse, as I said, or as I said earlier. One thing I'd like to point out is that GenAI, like in our title actually of this presentation, of this webinar, I feel like GenAI, as in generative AI, often gets used as a synonym for artificial intelligence, but it's really just one part, right? There's generative AI and there's discriminative AI as well. So if you talk to Siri, for example, or Alexa, this is discriminative AI. It's all about analyzing data. It's about analyzing objects and images or analyzing speech. Again, not going to go into detail here, but familiarize yourself with these terms. On a very high level, this is how neural networks look like. They are super complicated. I'm not going to try to explain this, but these are the artificial brains. These are the things that are referred to when you hear people talking about models. Neural networks is what's being trained using machine learning or deep learning methods. And there is a lot of different flavors of neural networks. And all the neural networks, all those different flavors, were built for specific tasks, right? There are some networks that are, good for processing human language. There's others who like stable diffusion or GAN networks that are used to, generate images and stuff like that. So if you see an application being used that uses AI technology, most of the time, those applications use a lot of different models to do very specific things. And what the outcome is just, a single task. Again, not gonna dig deeper than this here, but, maybe it helps to the next time you hear about a GAN network, at least you kind of, you have heard it before. So now we're gonna get to DAM and AI. And AI features and their relation to them. And I've created this quadrants, and as we know, quadrants are a popular format in this industry to visualize data. And I've come up with this to show the relationship of AI features and DAM use cases. And on the x-axis, horizontally here, it's basically a scale of AI technology that's involved. So on the left-hand side, there is no AI technology. Right-hand side, yes, AI technology. On the y-axis, we'll see DAM value or business value. Is it useful for users? Is it a DAM feature that's actually adds value, or at the very bottom, it's not? And I think it gets more. It gets clearer when I show the first section, the first quadrant here. So if we look at things like brand portals, new integrations, templates, workflow automation, analysis reporting, little on the edge, duplicate detection, like all those features, like no doubt they add value to DAM users. Are they using artificial intelligence? No, mostly not. Analysis reporting, yes, which is why they're on the edge or on the y-axis. duplicate detection, depending on how it's implemented, may or may not use AI. On the bottom left quadrant, no DAM value, no AI, not relevant. It could be watering flowers. It could be whatever, writing a Word document, or it's not doesn't relate to this at all. On this quadrant, at the bottom right, we'll see things like recommendations, text generation, generate product description based on product labels. This is all like super cool stuff, and it's amazing that all those things work. Create product descriptions in a specific style is what gets used in PIM systems a lot. Image generation, right? Mid-journey, like all this stuff. On the edge, we'll talk about this in a second. Is it a core DAM feature? No, it's not DAM. It's like, creating product description texts, great feature for PIMs. I don't think it's important in DAM systems. And the last quadrant here on the top right, this is like what we need to concentrate on, and this is what's adding really value, and it's using AI technology. So this is auto tagging, right? We've seen this for a long time. General tags, image description. There's engines that read the image content. There's natural language searching, visual searching, auto transcription, video, auto subtitles, auto caption, machine translation, and all this stuff. I think, definitely, yes, it's using AI models, and it's super value for DAM users. And the one thing at the very top right that I would like to point out is AI enhanced media transformation. So anything that's about manipulating images on scale, right? So things that come to mind is background removal, tinting objects, auto compression, color correction, like all this stuff that's automated, then gets provided by dynamic media delivering services that are more and more built into DAM systems. That I think that's where the real value is. So really, and I've tried to explain this on this slide. So there's AI use cases on the one side and DAM use cases on the other side. And really what we need to concentrate on is the intersection between the two. AI enhanced DAMs, and the two AI categories that play a role here are natural language processing and computer vision. And we're going to look at those in more detail now. Computer vision, hold on, this is just a second. Computer vision, subcategory of artificial intelligence. It's all about analyzing images and manipulating images. Features on this slide may sound familiar. You've all heard about auto tagging, object-aware cropping, focal point detection, compression, visual searches, captioning, background removal, like all this stuff. And one could argue that this dynamic media delivery is not a core DAM feature, but in my mind, this is where we see the best ratio between real business value and actually working available features. And there's a little bit of a risk level on this slide. So starting from the top, going down to the bottom, there are some features that already work really well and that have been around for a while. And there are some newer features that are still in sort of an experimental stage. And what's interesting about all those features is and they're driven by real life demand, right? Think of e-commerce systems, web shops that need to pull billions of images in different sizes, auto compression, optimized, cropped, scaled, tagged, pushed out to a growing number of channels and marketplaces. I mean, all this stuff is, we have it because there is a real need. It's not just, it's not just built because somebody thought it was cool. There's a real need, and it's adding value, which is the most important thing. It's adding value. It's making people's lives easier. Okay, computer vision. Again, just a quick basic underlying technology. Again, not going into detail, but I do think it's super important for people that are new in the area to understand a little bit about the differences between object classification, object detection, and image segmentation. Because all this stuff is like underlying technology in most of the computer vision-based image analysis manipulation features that we see as examples later, and that we see from Olivier and Sylvain later on in the session. So classification, it's super simple. It's neural networks being trained to detect objects that are visible in the image, and it returns a name and the confidence level. Okay, so 92%, this is a cat. Object detection is a little bit more granular. It also knows where the object is on the image. So it draws a bounding box. It has X and Y coordinates, and it also works on different objects in the image. And the third one, the segmentation, is really returns precise mask, or it knows exactly pixel perfect shape of the objects. Of the objects in the image, and like keep this in mind. A lot of the things and examples I'm going to show make use of this underlying technology. So some examples, I want to start with like the low risk kind of already working, quote unquote, simple implementations of computer vision. General automatic tagging, right? Those models have been trained with stock libraries, and they return a list of general objects, right? In this case, it will be, person, watch, and something else that I can't read, outerwear. Okay, with a confidence level, you throw it at an engine. In this case, you get it JSON returned, and it has the data in it. Background removal also works mostly if the objects and the image is not too complicated. Auto captions sounds super easy. Again, uses object detection. The engine knows and reads the image content, and it creates the caption text using natural language processing and NLP models to write a sentence that looks like a human generated sentence that describes the contents of the image. Next slide is low to medium risk. I think it's actually low risk. I think it actually totally works. Object-aware cropping and generative fill. So say you have a landscape image, and some website or e-commerce system is asking for a portrait. There are tools out there who deliver the portrait image, and it's using object-aware cropping. It knows the main subject of the image, and it applies the requested dimensions around this subject. If like the dimensions require a fill, there's generative fill. It's in painting, right? We all know this from Photoshop. Generative fill. It fills the image with, it's inventing pixels basically. Smart compression is also something that's been around for a while, works pretty well. It's all about smart compression formats that kind of understand the image, that apply a higher compression to less important areas of the image and apply a lower compression to the important areas of the image. And there's new image formats also that do it, and there is smart algorithms that deliver an image and apply encoding settings and set compression levels depending on browser bandwidth and all those things. Let's see. All right, then we move a little bit towards the higher risk, the more advanced features in computer vision. So the thing on the left here is replace background. So instead of just quote unquote removing the background, it's also generating new background. It's generating new pixels. It's generating a new image. It removes the background, applies the new background to the image. It makes sure all the lightning, all the shadows, all the reflections, all this stuff works. Pretty impressive. On the right-hand side, I've played with a demo site that allows you to apply color or replace color on a given object. So you name the object right through a text prompt. You tell it basically, color sweater purple, and you provide a hex or RGB value, and here's the outcome. I mean, it's really it's really amazing, especially if you look at professional e-commerce systems, content production. I think if we wait a little bit more, this is going to really disrupt e-commerce content production. This is really huge, I think. If we look at the more experimental, higher risk implementations, you could also tell a model or tell an engine to replace an entire object. So on the left-hand side here, you tell the engine to replace a prompted object with an object provided in a separate image. Okay, so replace sweater with, and here's my new image. Or on the right-hand side, and I think Sylvain is going to talk a little bit more about this in another presentation here today, where you provide two images. So here's the product, and here's the model, like a real model and a real product, and you tell the engine to combine the two. So this kind of avoids prompt interpretation and avoids having to deal with fully AI-generated models and copyrights and all kinds of issues. Here's an example that I wanted to show just quickly. It's segmentation prompts to remove objects. I just want to explain you and make you aware of how complicated this is and what's actually happening in the background. So on the left-hand side, on the original image, you'll see a phone on the table. And you basically, through an API, you tell the engine to remove phone, okay? This is completely made up, right? But it may look like this or similar. So what needs to happen is something needs to read the prompt and understand what object to remove, right? Something needs to understand what a phone is. Then it needs to find and segment the prompted object in the image, right? It needs to be pixel perfect. It needs to find the phone. And once it found the phone, it removes the phone or generates the fill in paints the pixels where the object used to be. So this is really, it's super complicated and really not, only works on simpler subjects, and we'll see where this goes in the future. Second big area that, in addition to computer vision, that I think is interesting in DAM is natural language processing, machine translation, natural language generation, anything to do with speech and text and translation. Why? Because I think, in a global world, it's just super valuable to have all your metadata automatically translated. It's super awesome to get your subtitles generated automatically from any video, to have time, like frame-based markers to where you'll see some logo of your sponsor or something in the video. All this stuff is really, really, really interesting. And I'd like to show a quick example here that Olivier gave me earlier. It's a video analysis basically. So you store your video in the DAM, and the software analyzes the video, and it finds not just speech, it found visual objects, right? It's also scanning the video for, you know, objects. It knows exactly what objects it found, where they are, what time marker they're on, and it also reads visual text using OCR. Of course, it interprets speech. It converts speech to text, indexes the text, translates the text, makes it all searchable in the DAM. This is like fantastic, and I can see how this really adds value to users. My next slide is about the future. So I'm not, I mean, not sure. There's no secrets or anything. I just wonder if we should talk about this now or maybe later. But I'm just throw this out here. What I think, my wish list, where I hope this is all going, domain-specific models, right? With not the first time we hear this. So metadata tagging in my domain, right? If I'm a jeans manufacturer, I want to throw all my millions of images to the engine, and then I want my model or fashion images to be tagged with, you know, this is jeans model XYZ, it's like this size, it's this model variant, and so on. And not only do I want domain-specific models, I also would like to see that they are easy to generate. Should be easy to generate for users. So there needs to be a user-friendly way to create them. I saw a demo from Apple using a super simple dogs and cats like example, but they made it like, you know, they made it look like it's easy. It's done within a minute. I understand it's more complex in the real world, but that's what I'm hoping to see. Second is advanced asset transformation. We looked at a lot of examples here today, and I believe we'll see a lot of more advanced stuff coming up, especially for dams in the e-commerce world, dams feeding e-commerce websites. And you know, if you think of AI-generated fashion models and things like that, and in my opinion, manipulating and delivering content downstream while working in brand compliance, let's say, is going to be very big in the e-commerce field. And basically, I think we'll see, you know, super personalized, localized, brand compliant assets being produced dynamically at almost no costs. So I think we'll see a lot here. And my third point is disrupting software solution markets. So maybe dams may no longer be dams as you know them today. So reason I thought of this is, so we already see DAM and PIM systems and CMS systems kind of fading into each other, and like you know, it's all becoming one thing. That, you know, the boundaries kind of blend, and we have seen output channels have changed, right, from print to, you know, digital and more digital, and there's more output channels, and the number is growing, and now I think we're really seeing the start of the asset life cycle. The creative tools are changing. If you think of Adobe Firefly and Express, I think this is really disruptive, right? It's Photoshop API. I mean, this is all like, wow, this is all like different. And as DAM has always been in the middle of the asset life cycle, you know, creative tools are changing at the beginning of the asset life cycle. Channels are changing, and so I think that, you know, dams will, I don't know if they're going to go away, but I think they'll probably change. And if you look at you know, what core dam features are today, I think they are going to be tomorrow. I think they're going to be a bit different to what we think they are today. So my last remark, advice for users and customers. If you're looking at DAM features, at AI features in your DAM, I recommend talk to the vendors, challenge them, ask about risks. Right, there are going to be risks. I think with AI, we're not, with most of the stuff, we're not at the level where everything works 100% perfectly. But so with this, I hope I'm able to give you some insight on where we are with AI and DAM, and I will hand back over to
Cool. Thanks, Timo. That's a great introduction from, well, the technical to the operational, and from sort of a where are we, where did we came from, and what is the future. Maybe we can wrap up the whole webinar here. But luckily we have 2 more guests with actual applications in the DAM and product data space. So let me thank you for now, and we'll see you back during the roundtable. So see you then. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
All right, so we're moving on to our second speaker of today, Olivier. Welcome to the stream. The floor is all yours. Good luck.
Thanks, Steven, and thanks a lot, Timo, for this perfect intro for my talk. As we are DAM vendors, so yeah, we've been embracing AI for quite some time now. As you all know, well, the first AI network was designed to recognize handwritten text. So we all know that AI is very good with images, and it was one of the first basic application of AI. So let me just show you a few features we have and discuss a little bit about how we are currently leveraging AI in our current offering, but maybe more interesting, how we see the AI in our vision for the DAM for the future.
Sorry, Olivier, I'm just, yes, thanks. You're sharing your full screen, so you were seeing this. Here we are. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm CTO of Wedia, co-founder of Wedia. Wedia is a leading DAM provider, a SaaS solution. And if you want to know a little bit more about us, just feel free to browse our website at wedia-group.com. And like I said earlier, we are DAM vendors, so we operate multiple countries with multiple languages. And as you can see in our client references, we are operating mostly very large DAMs with a lot of assets, a lot of images and video. And one of the crux of the DAM is to be able to search really easily for assets at the moment you need them. So for all these clients, we've been working with, like Timo presented earlier, auto tagging, discussing with our clients what would be the benefit. And for example, finding images with people or without people is a very common corporate communication use case. Tagging with keywords, also searching with keywords, is a very common use case. And AI is very good at that currently. And being able also to recognize features from our clients. So very specialized images and not, I would say, the common image library or tags you will encounter in the basic models, but training specific models to find, for example, car rally tires for a specific brand is also something we've been working a lot on. And lately, we've also embraced large language models to be able to describe very precisely the image. The more precise we can describe the image, the more easiest it's going to be retrieved. So it's really important to be able to create very meaningful captions for all images to store them in your DAM. So yeah, let's jump into a demo and see some of these features at work in our Wedia DAM. For example, let's say I'm just starting a full text search here, which is the basic gesture most of the user will be doing. And you've got some results here in the infinite scroll. Here you can see this little suggestion bar is popping up once you scroll a little bit, meaning that you haven't found really in the first result what you were looking for. And this is powered by AI. And typically it will create associations with your text you entered here and create and offer you to extend your search for more precise results. For example, resort is often linked to water or beach, so it will create a funnel for you to refine your search really easily. So that's kind of benefits our users want. Another one is identifying people in images. So most of the image you would like to see, before just searching them, if you like have this image with people or without people, depending on the use case you're going to work on. And these people you can refine also with age classes, only babies and children, for example, because you know that the use case you will be illustrating needs babies for your use case. We also have AI tagging. Let's say here I can search in like a very large dictionary of concepts and refine my search using auto-tagged images. All the images that contain a dessert here, a dessert will be shown here. You can combine it with other searches to make it meaningful and much more precise. Like Timo said, we are also using a lot of the AI features on video search. Video is like 24 image seconds, so it's very difficult to describe very precisely a video. So here you've got first a small loop that is generating through AI. So directly in your search results, you've got meaningful extracts from the for the video, so you can quickly browse it without opening it. But once you're inside the detail asset page, you can play the whole video after the bumper has been shown. You can scroll it, but here it's like a 10 minutes video. So if you want to look at very precisely some kind of concepts or some kind of objects, you can go through this AI tab and maybe expand it and see all the objects or concepts that appear in that video. For example, here I can click on money, and here I've got the location on where money is shown. We can see here the person holding some bills. So typically it's it's related to the concept of money. So that helps a lot for searching a very precise segment in this video. The timeline here is extracted through AI. So if I click on this, you will see that. Sorry. So we can extract the soundtrack, the spoken words in the video and make it searchable. And that helps a lot to locate, once again, a video in like maybe millions of other videos you've got on your DAM. And we're not only extracting the spoken words, but also the written words. So using what we call OCR, character recognition, we can find, for example, the number of episodes. And that also helps a lot to locate segments of the video. We are also using AI to manipulate images. Let's say, for example, I'm searching for some people. Here I've got them. I'll say I'm interested in working with that image, but currently that image has a background and I would like it to be isolated on the background. So I can work here using background removal, and that's powered by AI. And that helps a lot if you want to display it on a neutral background, on a colored background. And that's typically a gesture or user love, because it will really alleviate the need for going through a studio touch-up and being able to use your image right away without having like a round trip with your graphic team. And I'd like also to show our latest feature. When you're inserting images into them, you might want to search for duplicates. And like Timo said, it's a combination of heuristics, not only tied to AI, but with multiple searches for the file size and the content of the file to search for duplicates. But once you've inserted that image in your DAM, you want to describe it the more precisely you can so you can find it later. And typically, you need a great caption, because everything I've got here right now, once the file has been inserted into the DAM, is the name of the file. Now I need a good caption. So here I can trigger a large language model. We are using Anthropic Claude to generate this caption. And then we can use AI to translate it in multiple languages. So if I'm German or French, I'm able to search for that image that is very precisely described. And that helps a lot because it will save a lot of time for captioning images. We have clients that have like a dozen, 1,000 images a month being inserted into the DAM, and that really helps a lot. Back to so this is our current offering. We've been working on, I would say, more advanced features that are leveraging the AI power. One I'm quite excited to show you is GenAI for creating the missing product shots. And what we want to solve here is being able to use what we call a product shot. So mostly it's isolated on a white or neutral background. And let's say I'm a social media manager and I want to reuse it on Instagram. I would certainly prefer it to have it in the setting, and depending if I'm illustrating, like say a marathon, I need to have it like in an urban environment. And I want to generate it without having to resort to getting back to a photographer and asking for special shooting and waiting some time for the image to be produced, because it's really on the instant and just want to illustrate my post right away. And we want also to solve this kind of issues we are having on e-commerce website. So this is an example of a very nice page with a lot of illustration for a product. And this page will sell quite a lot because it has very precise features and descriptions of the benefits of the product. But on the same website, you will find this kind of product descriptions, which is very poor with only one image and doesn't entice you a lot to buy this product. It's missing a lot of imagery. This is complex to shoot because here we've got the product in English, but there is also the German version and the French version. So basically you're doing not only one shooting, but a matrix of shooting, many different images to be produced with your product in different languages. And it's difficult to ship to the photographers, and there's a lot of issues there you want to solve, and you can solve it using AI. So what we're using here is the ability to position a product into a scene and have it generated through AI. So this is our Wedia.ai, and you can just type this web address to get into the same demo I'm showing you. Here we've got corporate images, but I want to go to product images section. And let's say I'm getting that product. I want to have it in a setting here that will really fit my product. So I can place it there. And first, I can try to generate a background for that image, not touching the product at all. So this time we'll try to understand how the scene is constructed. So it has ferns, and it has bathroom towels, and I'll try to recreate a background. As you can see, it's not very convincing because it's lacking the product integration itself into the scene. So it's like I'm overlaying an image over a generated background. If I want to go further, we're using special trained networks to really integrate the product into the scene. So taking into account the lighting, the reflections, the materials. So you're able to generate such images that looks much more convincing because, as you can see, the product has been integrated into the scene in a much more realistic way. And you can create that with many different classes of product. For example, say here, I can use it for a tire manufacturer. And shooting a tire is quite expensive, and you have to go through a lot of work to show the tire in a natural setting. Here you can see this one is quite convincing. The lighting is respected with the shadow being extended with the sunset, so that helps certainly a lot. So that's kind of, to me, kind of future that Timo was explaining a little bit earlier, and that's kind of promises we can work on for our clients. We're also experimenting with other use cases. Once we find very promising is once someone searches for an images but doesn't find it very suitable, is being able to take cues from the image construction and offer him different options. So generating images with the same setting, the same lighting, the same situation, and offering options that are derived from the very first image, and rather than having to look for a similar image into the DAM, generate it for the user. So it can really expand from one step to another to create the perfect setting is looking after. So that's very promising because that helps a lot for corporate communication to illustrate specific use cases. And for example, we've got other ways of totally respecting the construction of the image, like this one. So you can change not only the setting, but also the country. So let's say you are HR and you want to launch a recruiting campaign with people that certainly look alike to people you want to recruit, but you've got only money for one shooting in your country, then you can derive that base image into multiple options for your local subsidiaries so they can run the campaign into their country and have people that look alike the people in that country and say respond to your apply for your job offering. I'd like to finish with some things that I think the most promising area where we're currently doing our research and development. I'm going to be a little bit technical there, but it's not that difficult. So please, hang on with me. It's going to be quite simple. So basically, we are using a technology currently for searching images that is called full text search, like Google. You type text and we find portions of this text into the captions of the metadata to retrieve the results and display the result set. But you know, sometime and most often you don't really know what you're looking after by its name or by its perfect text. So we can do some kind of approximations, but basically if you don't really know the word you're looking for, it's not present in the caption, it will not work very well. Vector search is a new breed of search that is not looking for the letters itself, text itself, but rather the concepts behind your search. So it's really an intention-based search. I'm looking for, let's say, a beach, but certainly a shore will also work for me. And that's totally something we can recapture with vector, not only the word itself, but the semantic meaning behind the word. So we rely on large language models to explain, to transform your keywords into something that is more semantic in, and to create that kind of semantic search. Typically, maybe kind of a little bit more technical, we are using we're not storing the text itself of the caption in a search engine, but we are using what we call embeddings. Embeddings, they are vectors, they are numerical representation of data. They are just figures, and they represent, for example, a cat is related to an animal that is also related to fur. It's related to being cute most of the time. That's kind of relationships these vectors, this number represent. And you can fine-tune them to company-specific vocabularies. That's typically what ChatGPT does when you're fine-tuning a GPT model for a specific purpose. So what you're doing here, we are taking all the images, the documents, the audio, video, and we're turning them not into textual representation, but in vector representation into our database. And when you're querying the search engine, we're turning them also into vector representation, and then we match your query vector representation with our database vector representation, and then you've got results. And what does it really solve is a lot of things. So misspelling, of course, because concepts, they don't really care about how you spell your words. You can type anything, and we try to match the closest concept around your words. So as I was telling you earlier, so you search based on meaning and not spelling. And a side benefit, but I think it's really huge, is multilingual searches. As Timo said, we are living in a complex environment where global companies have one single DAM, and people, they search into their own language. Indexing that data into multiple language costs a lot. So you've got AI-based system translations, but here you're going to remove the concept of language, basically, because every language concepts, they turn into the same figures, into the same vectors. A ranking of results. The AI knows what's important into your query and what's not, and much more so, than full text search will do. Most of the time, the full text search, you can add quotes or minus or plus. If you're very good at Google searching, you know all these tricks. Here, you don't have to, because the system understands naturally the relationship between the words, which words should be kept together, which words should be connected together, and that helps a lot for the ranking of results. And the totally tremendous side effect also is to understand the complex classification organization. We're working with large companies, and they've got subsidiaries, and they've got local environments, and they've got specific set of metadata and different products. And the system helps users search into that specific area of interest, and not, for example, let's say I'm in a North America users, I won't be searching into the Asian data, because the system will understand naturally that I'm interested into North American results. That helps a lot in what we call segmentation of the DAM and very complex organization of the DAM. So there is a bright future for that, certainly. And just can hand it over to Stephen, so we can discuss this a little bit later.
Yeah, we will. Thanks, Olivier. Thanks for the presentation and also the extension. I think a few months ago, my main question on generative AI was, how are we going to use generative AI? What is going to be the practical use case, or what is going to be the benefit? And it's amazing to see, I mean, not just one, but multiple use cases and how it is actually being applied, not just on a nice presentation, but in an actual demo. So it's truly impressive, truly good stuff. I wanted to have your attention for one more minute, because there's a question, I think specifically to you, and then we'll switch to our next speaker. So we have a question from Gurav, if I pronounce that correctly. I hope you can see it, Olivier. It's all these models. Yeah. Could you answer it?
Yeah, actually, we try to remove as much prompting as we can. We understand people will get good at prompting, and people that are using Microsoft Copilot and Microsoft or ChatGPT and whatever. So people are getting good at prompting, but we want to remove that. So we're moving to inbuilt keywords that will move to on the search query. And that's why we are leaning over vector-based search. because we don't have to rely on textual representation of what you want to have. We really want to have either a visual representation or either a totally abstract representation without resorting to prompting. I think prompting is like just a moment of history, but ultimately it will be removed in the later evolution of the AI.
First user interface on AI. Okay, cool. Thanks a lot for answering that question. Now, if you have any other questions, put them in the chat, and we'll touch on them during the roundtable part. Olivier, thanks. I'm gonna put you back on the backstage for now, and I'll see you during the roundtable. See you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, then it's already time for our final speaker, Sylvain from Describe. Sylvain, thanks for holding out. We are running a bit late, but still, I want you to take all the time you need. The floor is all yours. Good luck.
Thanks a lot, Stefan, and PimVendors and everyone. I'll be quick actually, because I have a very short presentation, and then I'll show you directly a demo of the product. Because Describe is an AI solution. So actually, the idea is precisely to see how a technology like ours can be embedded into your DAM and the benefit that you could get. So first, it's funny because I so agree with what Olivier just said about prompting, because it's the whole concept of Describe. So Describe is really an AI applied to product retail. So it's a little bit, it's one very specific application of your DAM that are related to how you can sell and promote your products. So I'll walk you through a very short presentation, and again, let's have a couple of demo to show you how it works. So the main problem that we tackle here at Describe is what we have all experienced is facing that kind of marketplace or website where you try to first find a product that is difficult to find because of improper categorization or poor description or whatever. And then having a product that is very poorly explained with low descriptions, low image quality, and everything else. So of course, this is not convincing, and no one is willing to buy such a product, and that leads to a very dramatic impact on business. And there's a reason why, because it takes a lot of time to create a proper product page, again, business impact is very huge. So how do we tackle this problem? So the idea of Describe is precisely not to work with prompts, but to work with images. And I think it's an innovation by itself. So that's why it's very linked to DAM system, because the assets are managed in DAM. And the idea is that Describe will use only the images. So of course, we are a multimodal AI, so we can use different information that you may have in other systems to improve and to add information. But let's assume the worst case scenario is that you only have images. So what we'll do is that we'll not use prompt. So it means no human interaction, no interpretation of what you want to do or not do. We'll use just the basic image, and we'll work at scale. And I think this is also a very important thing. I will show you a little bit also how we can work out on images later, but I think it's a key differentiation. We see a lot of very cool things, I think, on the internet, how AI can work to improve images and stuff like that. But in my opinion, the deal breaker is that you have to work product by product, and takes forever. So the idea is really to work at scale, take all of your assets and to be able to generate the outputs that are desired. So how do we do that? So working only on the images, we have multiple AIs that will work together. So we have AIs that will describe what they see on the pictures. So it's trained for a lot of different product, used product, new product. B2B, B2C. It's trained to recognize material, the objects, of course, the category, the colors, logo, anything that is visible on the image will be recognized. And using this will allow us to improve so much the search and everything else. We'll also add an AI that is a sort of a Google Lens on steroid that will look online for the similar products. And since we have already extracted information on the product, we'll not just compare pixel per pixel the image like Google Lens will do. We'll be able to narrow exactly to identify on the image. And doing that will allow us to identify the primary source and the manufacturers or any sort of information from retailers. Doing that will capture all this information that will be able to nourish into the LLM. You have heard a lot about LLM, generative AIs and stuff like that. But in my opinion, the problem is not to generate content. The problem is to have content to generate. So again, the idea is to be able, just placing the picture, to identify all the technical information and then to be able to generate the content with those informations. So it's exactly what we'll do. We'll have all this precise information, and with this, we'll be able to instantly generate the raw product content. So by product content, we mean product descriptions, of course, product history, the brand history, stuff like that, but also everything related to attributes. And this is extremely useful in DAM. We'll see how you can leverage this in DAM precisely, because just using the image recognition system and the capability to retrieve the attributes, you have attributes that you cannot see solely on the image that you have to retrieve online from manufacturers, right? So this is the first thing. And also, of course, you need to work out on your image. So the idea is that based on the primary image, you also work out on the image, and you're able to generate a lot of cool stuff. So today, if we talk really about the product recognition model, Describe is the most advanced image recognition model that will help you to really identify and extract all the information. And as I said, this is the example, just based on the image, we are not just able, like ChatGPT or OpenAI will do, even if they are trained also to recognize product and to understand that, okay, this is a drilling machine, it's probably being able to tell you that it's the brand and stuff like that, but it will definitely be unable to retrieve all the attributes and everything related to that specific product. So this is really the key differentiation, and again, how you can leverage this into your DAM. All right, so I'm going to walk you through a very quick demo to show you on a couple of products. If you want to do everything that I'm doing, you can do it live. You just hit describe.com, spelled like that, describe.com, and you create a free account. It's a little bit limited, but you have something similar that what I'm going to show you here. So, of course, this is just a web app. We have an API to integrate within your DAM, so then you don't have to do everything that I'm doing here by hand. Just drag and drop. Everything can be done within your DAM. So here, what we'll mention is that we'll extract precisely the attributes, for example, why not catalog number and stuff like that. And then I will hit describe. It takes by design a little bit of time because the idea was to work at scale, but since we are not going through the API, we wanted to make some limitations. So it takes around 20 or 30 seconds to be able to generate the product descriptions. You can work at scale on hundreds of products on the web app, but if you use the API, there's no limitation. So you can imagine that you are I don't know, a retailer like Intersport, that is one of our clients. They can use thousands of images in their DAM, and based on that, they can directly use the API to send it to Describe. That will, in a couple of seconds, generate all the product content. So let's wait a couple of seconds. So you'll see probably the product identification live. on those products. I could have loaded many more products. It would have been insane.
Maybe Sylvain, there's a question from Gurav. Again, maybe we can answer that in the meantime. So his question is on the screen right now. Are you using different AI models to extract different types of content from an image?
Yes, so I will give you a little bit more explanation later on our architecture, because it's really a key differentiation. So we are not using an API call to a third party like ChatGPT or any others to be able to retrieve information. We have designed the whole architecture. So what we use is different AI models that are most of the time open source, that we locally deployed, trained on specific database for products, and then customized. But on top of those models, I would say that it's more like the architecture to be able to talk to one to each other that are making the difference. Because again, if we just talk about the LLM, just the part that is generating the content, any LLM could do the work, right? You can change the LLM quite easily and it will probably do the job. But what is interesting is just loading the image to be able to recognize the machine, the precise model, and to be able to generate, the compelling description with all the attributes and the selling points, why you should buy this product, what is the key differentiation of that product. And the AI is really good at that, because you will automatically detect on the product what is making the difference. So you will detect what are the key features to highlight, what are the selling points, why people are talking about this product, how they are trying to sell the product. And this will be understood and used by the AI to be able to recognize the product and to generate the content. So we are not going to read the description together, but as you can see, it's pretty impressive, because again, just based on the image, we recognize precisely the model. So it's not because it's written here. Again, it's a mix of what is written and the capability to retrieve information online. So we are able to extract attributes. In our API, the attributes are very open, so it's pushed by the AI. So the AI identifies by itself what is the technology to highlight. But if you are using the API, you can customize this. You can orientate the attributes that will help you also for better categorization. Why not? Better search and a lot of different use cases. But again, in my opinion, what is interesting is the capability not to write a description that any LLM is able to do, but is to write a description telling you, okay, this is a 4K late TV with a 58-inch display, etc., and to be able to have highlights about technologies and stuff like that. So there's actually benchmark also of the products that we find online, so then you can retrieve that product and the selling price. So this is for the quick demo. It works again on any sort of product. This is the one that I just showed you in my example. And that's in what is making the difference. So in your DAM, as Timo and Olivier were saying, there is an interest using the image to be able to extract information for that image. So there's information that you can read, like you can say, even if you are human, you can say it's a drilling machine. You can probably read the brand, but extracting more information and to add this information, it's very key. And you can consider that you can put it into your PIM system, because it's where you hold descriptions and everything else. But there is also an interest, in my opinion, with the attributes, because these attributes can be a sort of metadata, just like Olivier showed us, to explain, the details of the product, but not just to describe it, like the example that we saw. It's a teenage girl on the surf on the ocean and stuff like that, but more precise information about products. So related to products, in my opinion, it's a very, very interesting use case. So yeah, this is the more deep dive about the architecture. So what is important for us at Describe is to have the minimum input to give you the output, because we believe, as I said as an intro, that prompting is totally outdated. I also believe so. So the idea is to be able to just load primary information. You may have some settings to explain a couple of stuff like the tone of voice and your prerequisites, that you have different cell channels, so you have different templates of content to be generated. But that's not the problem. What is interesting is to have all this architecture that will talk together to do a lot of different things. And this is where it becomes interesting to have the built versus buy that we can discuss. Because if you try to leverage some AIs by yourself to do just one thing, it could be interesting if you're a company large enough to consider an open source model to train it and to have it solve one specific thing, like to describe an object, or as we could see even with the image, to do a couple of stuff. But what becomes complicated is when you want to work at scale and to have on just one input, to have all those models talking to each other, to be able to add the information according to any sort of product to be able to solve your specific use case, that is to generate the product page in that sense. So in DAM, again, in my opinion, I think you can use it for the metadata. I think it is really something that is interesting. So currently our solution is implemented into a couple of DAM, also into search engines, to improve search and categorization. So it's exactly what Olivier mentioned about the metadata, but it's a little bit addition to a Google Vision or any other AI models that will just describe what they see on the image. We'll add another layer able to add alternative information. And if we are using this for metadata, we can rank the results. So we can say, for example, there is a 80% chance and 99% chance that this attribute is correct for this specific image. That will improve the search. I'll go directly with the work at scale. I think this is key. Again, what is important for what I'm going to show you also with the images is that if you try to do something by your own and you have a lot of time to do it, you can probably solve it. So if you want to just create one review or one drilling machine in 30 or 80 minutes, you'll be able to do that. If you want to generate a new image, if you want to reframe the image, change the background, and do a couple of things like that, this is also possible for a while using Photoshop and a lot of softwares. But even with AI, what we see is that a lot of softwares are still softwares to work on to get to the results that you want. And I think what is tricky is to be able, again, to work at scale. So you load 1,000 image and you get 1,000 output image. And this is the second part that of the problem that we tackle on top of the attributes, categorization, and description is really the image. And for this, in DAM, you can, since you work directly on your asset, improve the images and improve the images. So Timo has mentioned a couple of stuff ahead. So let me show you what we do here at Describe. So on the left side is one of the image. We'll use that, and again, without any prompt, just using the image, we'll be able to generate new images. So we are able to crop your image, resize your image according to different outputs that you desire for different channels, for example. Formats, we can center also the product, resize it. We have sometimes products that are very large on images, that you want to recenter or to change automatically to be able to highlight it. And then it's to enhance it. So it's changed the light, the shadow, the reflection. And when you do that, you can automatically remove the background. So you can predefine the background that you desire, and at scale, you can remove background, or you can generate new backgrounds using AI. And it's, again, something that Olivier showed us. So it's the same capability. It's leveraging the same technology, that is Stable Diffusion. That is probably the most advanced AI solution to do that. But the difference is that with Describe, it's precisely, it's designed for products. So the output that you'll get is far more accurate and at scale than trying to use more generic tools, especially for photos. So to show you that, I will not show you the current version, but the one that will be released this week, actually. So if you place in your calendar a reminder next week, you'll be able to test this. And you'll be able to test this new image capability, where you are able to select all your outputs and at scale remove background or to generate new images. I'll show you live how it could work. This is using our platform, so it's exactly the opposite of what I was mentioning. So I'm showing you exactly what I'm doing by hand, but the idea is to show you what you can do at scale, right? So without any human interaction. So the first step is the segmentation, what Timo explained. So we recognize the product and then we extract the product. So doing that, we are first able to remove background and to have the product. So we can recenter this product. We can make it into different situations. And then we'll be able to generate new backgrounds using predefined orientation. So this is a sort of a prompt in that sense, but you predefine what is interesting for your brand or for your retail store. So you can imagine, for example, to put it on marble, or to put it on wood, to put it on a garden, to put it on your desk, to put it wherever you want. Of course, I had an issue with the. Let's do it again. Okay, segmentation and AI generation. Okay, so this is my demo version. So of course it doesn't work live, but in 1 week, again, as I said, you'll be able to see it. What it does, these are our pictures that are generated with our solution. So using the prompt, it generates the image within your background, and again, doing it at scale. So now there's a new capability. So this will not be included. It's something, if it's an interest for you, that we can discuss. The idea is how to place a product on a model. So it's a little bit more tricky than anything else we've seen before, and how we want to tackle it. Timo mentioned a couple of options to do that. You can generate models, but we truly believe that this is not the right direction for a lot of reasons. You know that AI can be have some hallucinations and maybe work not in the direction that where we want to go. So how we tackle this problem and Describe is that we want to have 2 inputs. So the first input will be your product, so the product that you want to place on the model. And the second input is models, so you can have 1 or multiple models. And working on that, we are able to place the product on the model. So this is something, again, that you can do within your DAM. You have a pre-selection of models that you have the right to use, that are legally approved, and that are also approved by the brand, and everything else. And using that model, you place the product on the model. there is a lot of, it doesn't look like, but it's a huge difference between anything else you could see before. One reason, and then we can actually discuss it if you want, Stefan, and with the rest of the people. But the main difference is that when you apply this to a product, it's very different than when you are talking about inspirational pictures. Inspirational pictures, it's okay to say, okay, I want to generate an image of someone on the beach, something like that. But when you want to generate an image of someone wearing your product, you have to make sure that the product keeps the exact essence, because if it's not the right image, you have a lot of return, right? So you need to make sure that the product that is, the image that is generated is 100% compliant with the product. So it has to keep this essence of the product. And you have to work at scale also, like the example that we've seen with Aven. It is very impressive, but what is interesting is to have the product and to be able, once you have defined your prerequisite, like for example the models, to be able to generate this at scale. In my opinion, it's two very big difference with other solutions that you can implement in your DAM or to manage your pictures. They are very different if the use case is for products or if the use case is for inspirational, for example, images, where it's much more open, in my opinion. Back to you, Stefan, and the rest, if you want to debate this.
Right. Yes, for sure. But first, thanks so much, Sylvain. That was again very impressive and very much true to nature that the demo, of course, almost works during the live demo.
Always same.
I'm bringing everyone back. No, but it shows the authenticity, right? And it's something that is live from next week. I'm always glad to see everyone showing the cutting edge during these sessions, which is amazing. Cool. We have everyone back. Timo, Olivier, welcome back as well. I mean, we have some questions that are in the chat. They actually tie into some of the things we have already discussed.
If I can answer to that question from Gaurav, Stefan, if you may, because it's
Sure.
a little bit following the question that he asked, or someone asked about the tech stack. Yeah, I think it's extremely important indeed to, just like we are discussing about the build versus buy, I think it's extremely important to make sure that the solution that you use, if it's a third-party solution, like described, for example, is using its own model that are locally deployed. I think this is a huge difference between using third-party AI APIs. Because let's say that you fine-tune everything and you work with an API to send the picture that will send you back the output. The problem is that this AI is evolving all the time. So you build something on the sand. On the long run, it may work today, but it is not going to work tomorrow. So whatever option you choose, I think it's very important to make sure that if you get the solution from the DAM of Olivier with Wedia or whatever, anything else, to make sure that the technology is owned and locally deployed and will be sustainable on the long run. That's also answering the security reasons that a lot of people are wondering. Like using a third-party solution exposes you, of course, to have your data sent to a third party. So if you send the information via our API to describe, of course, it's sent to our server, even though everything is locally deployed. It's sustainable in the long run, but it's still on our server. But to answer these security reasons, we have the capability, it's more like a very enterprise level, but we have the capability to locally deploy our solution into customer stack. So of course, that's really to answer an important need, I would say. But if tomorrow we are discussing with a very large retailer, it's possible to deploy Describe locally on its server to make sure that the image or the descriptions are not transiting to any other third party via API or exposed to any other data.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think most of our clients are asking if the data they are sending to us are going to be used for training new networks. And we have to ensure them that they get a perfect compliant architecture. So these images will be kept proprietary at all time. And that's, I think, one of the major concern we're having with the usage of LLM right now, dealing with legal department.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I want to really dive into the buy versus build topic as well. We touched upon it a few times, and I'm very curious to see the sort of different philosophies, especially contrasting maybe Describe versus Wedia. But there's also a question from Tony that I would love to show. Maybe anyone who has any idea about the return on investment or the total cost of ownership when it comes to AI, specifically in DAM. Maybe Olivier, do you have a guess?
We are measuring this kind. We are monitoring this kind of data because we know how much time it takes for a human to perfectly caption an image. And then we also are making different metrics. We're getting metrics on how good that captioning is regarding the AI tagging, the LLM tagging. And so we are able to, I can't disclose figures right now, but I can tell you this is quite impressive. Even if you outsource your tagging in other countries that have a much more a lower cost of indexing, it's still a very, very, very good return on investment.
I had the case that I studied recently, and it was 10 times cheaper to do it with AI than with even out. The retailer was actually outsourcing the spot to another country, and first there was a lot of mistakes because AI may have some hallucinations, but humans also do, and copy paste and a lot of mistakes. But yeah, the return on investment was around 10 times between doing it with some automation or by hand and doing it with AI. And in our case, I don't know about if it's a specific use case with AI, but we know the difference between having a poor quality web product page and a good quality product page. So having good descriptions and categorization and also good quality images is leading to a conversion rate around 4 times more. So if it's your business, it's not irrelevant, 4 times difference. So it's quite huge. So of course, this does not apply strictly like if you implement Describe, you have 4 times more revenue. Of course, it depends on a lot of criteria where you start and your area of business and a lot of criteria. But yet, even if it's difficult to put a number on it, what we know is that there is a huge difference within it. And I'm pretty sure with Wedia, it's pretty much the same when you are talking about managing images. Even if you have to do one image by hand or with a photographer, as we said, it is huge because it's not just the cost of the photographer, it's all the supply chain behind it. It's to send the product to the photographer, make sure that they receive it, they shoot it, they have to then make modification, edit this image, send it back. It's a lot of back and forth, and this is extremely costly. So the return on investment, I would say, is for some part, when we talk about image generation, it's quite infinite because it's so huge, the difference between doing it with AI or doing it with photographer, that it's just not comparable. It's something that you cannot do with by hand.
Yeah. Do you expect to? I mean, it's always this question with AI, like, will it replace the jobs of the photographer or the copywriter? What do you think? Maybe Timo? Sorry, gonna unmute you again, Timo. You're back. Sorry.
Good question. Super interesting question. I don't know. I mean, I can definitely see that in the field of e-commerce and e-com product, content production. I mean, this is going to change. I think this is really disruptive. I mean, seriously, this is, I mean, as Tony asked, I mean, it will, I mean, you will be able to save a lot of money. And, you know, especially if we look at the output channels where maybe, and I know I may not be exactly right here, but let's say, you know, the quality requirements are not as high, maybe. You know, it may just work, right? And you can produce those images on scale and save a lot of money. It may be enough. So maybe, you know, for some parts of the business, you know, photography, like real photography as we know it today, is going to go away.
Super interesting.
And I think it's like the standard that are changing, you know, just like with rentals changed our expectations. It's, I think, quite similar. It's like a lot of times we've experienced this as users, right? Going on websites, having very poor product descriptions. Sometimes you have to find by yourself, looking for products on other places, the specs. So at some point it was okay, just for search and a lot of things like that, it was okay to have that level of quality. But I think now people are expecting much more, especially with images. They are expecting, I think the good old time when you have just a couple of product images are totally gone. Now, if you don't have a lot of images, a lot of displaying your product in different situations, I think it will change. And that's heading also in quality, I think, a lot. Timo, for example, you showed something on replace colors on object. So I think it's something we don't do, and I believe this is extremely tricky, because when you are buying a product, you're expecting the color, and of course it may sound like it's saving a lot of time to have the same product with a different color variation as the output. But the problem is that when you're the user and you're buying this, you're expecting the exact color, and colors are very tricky, you know, for product. So I think, again, getting back to the essence, keeping the essence of the product is very key. So there is a lot of options for inspirational images, I think. Just like Olivier showed us with inspirational images, I think it's unlimited what we can do. But for products, in my opinion, we need to be much more careful. There is a very high risk that you jeopardize your brand image, your return rate, and a lot of other things that you don't want to do. As I said, for example, generating the models, is extremely dangerous, in my opinion. So that's where I think there's a limit on the automation and what we want to do.
I absolutely agree with you, and I think that's the current state, though, right? That's like what we have today. And I'm thinking, in the future, and not that much time in the future, we may, look back and say, well, this problem is solved. It's possible. I just know it just sounds like too great to not, make it over the finish line, kind of, because I know it's a lot of hassle for e-commerce or brand companies to colorize or tint products, sweaters or whatever stuff that's that exists in 30 different colors, and it needs to go through retouching, and it's a hassle, and it's not complicated, but it's manual work, and it would just be so awesome to automate this. I think maybe we'll get to see this.
And I mean, we're focusing on product images here, right? So basically the baseline is going to be raised, right? Instead of just one image being used for 10 products and medium or no descriptions, right? Or just very, very short descriptions. You'll get long descriptions and many images, and basically the baseline is going to be a lot higher, and people are going to use AI in those sense. How is that for the DAM, maybe, Olivier, and inspirational images or photo shoots, marketing shoots?
I think your eyes are very well trained to find the difference between a very nice corporate image that has been shot by an agency with a photographer eye and a stock photo that is on your website. You already know it, and you're yet able to discriminate it. So you're adding a third class of inspirational image generated by AI, and I'm sure you can already decide if that image has been generated using AI or is coming from a stock photo. So it's just adding a new tool to your palette, and it will fit a lot of different usages. For example, having like subsidiaries website where you don't want to spend a lot of money, but still you want to have some kind of corporate imagery. You won't find no stock photos. But currently, I will see the difference between artistic images being shot by high level of campaigns of requirements, leading the way for your corporate imagery, and then all those derivatives from this imagery being created by AI, or maybe some kind of stock photo also being used. So it's kind of mixing a little bit together, more tools on your palette, and everybody will be will have a cost-effective way to create a new website.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting looking ahead in the future, what it will bring, like maybe custom AI models specific to your brand, and then copyrighted AI models that you see being used just for PimVendors or just for Wedia or just for Scribe. And the same with sort of the baseline of all images and product data on the sites. I think, as Nico says, right, in his comment or question, is basically it is going to be an extra tool, right? And I personally think it's just going to remove the bulk work, right? So there is no glory currently in writing descriptions for all the hundreds of thousands of products on a large marketplace site or on a large retailer catalog. It's really drudging work. I've been on many fashion shoots where it's about product shoots on model, because that looks better than on a mannequin. But there's no glory in that work, not for the photographer, not for the styling department, not for the models. You would not want to trade places with those people because it's hard work. It's great if that can be done by an AI, because it leads us to focus on the high quality work, I would say, and use everyone's creativity for the actual value add. I want to close off this topic maybe and go back to the question maybe Chris has asked, but it's basically tying into that buy versus build discussion that we have seen sort of as a trend line between the different presentations. This focuses on Describe. Maybe we should put it a bit broader and say, do you need to like integrate these tools? Do you need to build them yourselves? We have been discussing the buy versus build discussion. Maybe Timo, as the independent consultant here, how would you see this?
So I think it all depends. Like, I'm not sure if I can answer the question, but I think I have some thoughts to it. I think it depends on who you are. Like who are you? If you are a brand owner, right? I think, and Sylvain, please correct me if I'm wrong, I think probably you would get your product data out of your PIM system, right? You wouldn't need Describe, as I understand it. If you're Intersport, right? If you're a retailer and you work with a lot of different brands, then I see value in your product, and I totally understand why you want to have it. So it kind of depends, right? If you're Intersport, I would say build it into, I don't know, maybe you have your own PIM or you have your e-commerce system or something. I don't know. If you're a brand owner, maybe as like a, maybe not, or as a security or a double check gateway or something like that. I don't know.
How do you see it, Sylvain? Where do you see the most value add, or is this something people can just solve with an API connection to ChatGPT?
Yeah, as I said, I think there is for me a value in DAM because extracting information that you cannot see from the image, and having other external information will definitely improve a lot of stuff. For example, when Olivier was mentioning what he's trying to do with vector search, this is also the future. I really believe that the past, as we were seeing it with Google, is totally over. So there's a new way of search. But to do this search, you need to have a comprehensive understanding of the product and to have a lot of information, not necessarily visible. So it's not necessary to have the product information on your website, but it's information that you know about your product. So it's better understanding of your product. So in that case, it could definitely have a use case with DAM. Otherwise, it depends how people are structured, if they manage products within their DAM or within their e-commerce directly. In both cases, you can integrate Describe to create the product descriptions. And to feedback with Timo was saying, of course, there's a huge impact for retailers because they are managing tons of products, and retrieving the data that they don't have from manufacturers is definitely key. For brands, in my opinion, also, I think at the beginning, a simple LLM, or I would say any LLM to make it simple, because there's a lot of LLMs on the market at this point, and they are all fairly good. So if you take any sort of LLM and you just have an input, like the very famous tone of voice that everyone is talking about, like, okay, I am this brand, this is the way I speak. So you have for people who are not very familiar, if you have like a custom GPT, for example, GPTs, and you say, okay, this is how I like to talk, and you give the information and you want just to rephrase it, any LLM can do it. So I also agree that for brands, it was probably not the best interest at first, but then we see a lot of brands selling on their own product on different retail store, and they need to regenerate new content. And second, I think, is images. Because images, brands are really concerned with generating images, and even if they shoot their own product, it's exactly also what Olivier was saying. The example with Aven, so it's a very famous brand, group Pierre Fabre. Okay, you have definitely the capability to make the shooting and to have to spend time on each picture to make it good, but there is also problems that you need to solve, like the languages, that you need to have like still different sorts of output for different format, for different for ads for your website and stuff. And this, you need an AI to adapt it, because changing it by hand it's not doable.
Yeah, maybe Olivier, and you're currently integrating Stable Diffusion models into the tooling, different
I really believe
AI
that
and AI features.
Not one single solution fits all use cases. So it's kind of a sequence of a little bit of AI, a little bit of traditional heuristics. Sometimes it's just some kind of Python library that is just drawing stuff on the image, and then returning back to another LLM with control nets. And basically, we either rely on software providers such as Describe to fill this total workflow from end to end with very specific use cases. They've been tested on, and we know it will work on the product class of our clients. Or if it doesn't exist, we're building this kind of integrations. There are a lot of tools here to build like graph-based solution where the image will go from one process to another node to another process that will transform it. And we're being integrators and not fundamental researchers on AI currently. And I think that is the future. The ability to assemble multiple bricks will lead us to best of breed solution for every use cases. Maybe Describe works for good class of product, and maybe it doesn't work very well for corporate images because it hasn't been the focus of the company. So we have clients in both areas, so we certainly need to either train a network or create that kind of assembly, or find another provider for this specific use case.
Yeah, I think if I summarize that, it's going to be a multipolar world, right? With specifically trained models for specifically trained use cases, and even a specific niche like products or corporate images, but even within product images, it's industry specific. There's going to be multiple AI solutions and AI models that need to work together and need to be integrated. I think we're getting there. We're not there yet. But that is probably what is necessary to get to that 99.9, 99.5% accuracy level that we need to reach for this to become maybe really mass adopted, right? I still see in the current use cases many times that I at least look at my own use cases that customers still need to sort of manually check some of the items or manually check some of the images, which I think will still be a long while before we get to the actual fully automated workflows. Still, it has been only 18 months since ChatGPT 3.5 launched, right? Or 3 launched. So it's still very, very early days. We're having a discussion with actual real life applications. And I'm really glad that we had the demo from Wedia, from Olivier, and from the Scribe by Sylvain to show how it is currently actually driving value. And that is super short for a super short time frame for such a new tooling. So I'm also wrapping up a bit because, I mean, we have already been extending over time. It's great to have seen those tools in action. Timo, thank you for the kickoff meeting and the kickoff presentation with sort of an overview of what we have seen and where we have come from, but also a small look at the future and where we're going. People have been sticking with us for almost 2 hours now. I want to be respectful of your time as well. I think there's ample opportunity for follow-up because we're not done talking yet. We haven't seen everything yet. So let's definitely pencil something in. I want to thank you guys specifically for joining us and showing what you have shown. I want to thank the audience for joining us today and staying with us for this long time. We will be sharing the recording. You will get access to everything later this week. And I want to wish you all a very, very good evening. Thank you all and see you during the next event. Bye-bye.